It's the 8 for 52 podcast. Here's Bushy.
Episode 6 is a go of Season 2 of the 8 for 52 podcast. Bushy with you as always. Welcome to co-hosting duties this week is HKCC Wanderer CCC Jinsungian and serial complainer during Season 1. It's Tom Ingram. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very, very much. It is a joy to be back. I've obviously been keeping up to date with all the shows so far, and with our bosses, you have been doing absolutely splendidly.
Thank you.
I've really enjoyed the My Stories too. Obviously, Shiv last week, Chris Pickett, Atik, all great stories, and of course, Chris Carter's My Story was fantastic as well.
Chris Carter wasn't a My Story. Chris Carter was the co-host.
When I listened, I assumed it was his story because he kept interrupting Dan Pascoe all the time. So, no, fair enough. That's news to me.
Take that, Chris. We should mention we're recording episode 6 on a Monday as Flyboy here couldn't make it any later in the week, but we are in the beautiful Chater Tavern at HKCC to record, and thanks to HKCC management for letting a ruffian like myself in. Now, you might have noticed listening to the podcast, I've got a new section in the intro. It's called Aaron Apologises because I make so many mistakes.
Which is one of the things I actually asked in Season 1. We were looking forward to an apology from you after your dismantling of CCC and everything, all the performances that they did all over the season.
I think so far this year I don't have to apologise for anything. We've had a washout, which I got right, and you got lost. We'll get to that in ins and outs and outs and ins. But this week's apology, only one. It's a heartfelt apology to all the listeners of the podcast. In episode 5's ins and outs, I was clearly out of my mind and tipped the KCC Saracens. We'll cover it more in outs and ins this week, but I promise you, the listeners, that shan't be happening ever again.
We'll see who they're playing. Maybe I'll tip them this week.
Go mad. Never ever been for them, just like ginseng. Plenty to get through on this week's podcast, Tom. You know the rules. Guest host has to find a My Story. So who have you found this week?
I have found, of course, the wonderful men's talent pathway manager, Mark Farmer.
Oh, that's going to be awesome. I'm looking forward. Had Farms on commentary before with the broadcast, never on the podcast. So this is a first for us. Of course, Tammy Chu will be back with the women's cricket wrap. Natesh will drop in for the Challenge League updates and we'll do some birthdays as well. And a huge Sky Plaza Road actually coming up. The women's team for the East Asia Cup has been announced with one glaring omission, Tom. We'll get to that in Sky Plaza Road. You can try to think who that might be.
I have an idea.
Okay.
I've looked at the team sheet.
If you look at the team sheet, there is somebody missing from the women's team, and we're going to talk about that in Sky Plaza Road. Bushy's rumour mill is back, and adding to last week's rumour that India is coming to the Hong Kong Sixers, and still not officially announced, so that rumour's just still floating around at the time of recording. We're recording on a Monday, so hopefully by Friday it'll be announced. But two big rumours I've got for you. One's not in your script, by the way.
I don't have a script.
Firstly, it's some points. All our guest co-hosts get points, so they know what I'm going to talk about.
Don't know what he's talking about.
I have heard that Jimmy Anderson is in play for the England squad for Hong Kong Sixers.
I can almost guarantee you that will not be happening.
Almost guarantee?
Almost. I don't want to commit 100%.
Do you have him on WhatsApp or something?
I do have a lot of cricketers on my phone. A lot of them double blue ticked me. Ian Bell, I sent a message to a while back. He didn't reply, but maybe I'll ask him and see what happens.
Well, I could get an exclusive, but that's what I've heard. And also, Shikhar Dhawan might lead the India side. That's the other rumour getting about.
That's a big pull.
Yeah?
That's a big pull.
That would be massive. But neither of them are confirmed yet.
Have we got any of the squads for the actual sides, or is it only the countries?
Only Pakistan, and coming up in the Sixers, in the Sky Plaza Road, we'll talk about the Sixers, I have the Hong Kong team.
I could probably name them.
Well, we're going to get to Sky Plaza Road, and you're going to guess, and I'm going to tell you how right or wrong you are.
Sounds like a wonderful idea.
Yeah, so we're still waiting. And also, coming up in Sky Plaza Road, hopefully, I'm going to a Cricket Hong Kong China press conference tomorrow. That's on Tuesday after we've recorded this. And I'm going to get some snippets and put it in there, and I might ask a question or two. Might put my hand up.
Are you going to twist the knife as well for the questions, or are they going to be sort of easy home run ones?
The two questions might be about Jimmy and Shikhar, so we'll see what happens, and we'll find out if we get any tips in the podcast later on. Speaking of the Sixers, I've brought myself and the lad 3-day passes. I bought my lad a pass as well. And then I found out today he's actually going overseas on a school trip. So I've had to rope in Danny Lee from the Cricket Hong Kong Dragons to come and watch him with me. But I do look forward to sitting in the stands for 3 days enjoying all the action. Tom, can you guess the number one question I've been asking in the last 6 weeks?
Are you commentating?
Am I commentating? No, I am not. I am not. I am way too low down on the system pole, on the totem pole of commentary for this big event, which is going to be broadcast. And I believe that there's big superstar, that might be a clue, commentary team coming in from India to broadcast this one. Yeah, that's not happening.
You'd love to have a local representative, though, from the Hong Kong commentating community, of which there's
I don't think
one.
And obviously, I'm not good enough. So
No,
there's
don't be silly.
one to choose from, and not choose. No. But I am actually really looking forward to going to sitting in the stands at Ting Kwong Road Recreation Ground for 3 days and watching some cricket. I cannot remember the last time I've actually sat down and watched cricket and not have to commentate it. So I'm going to grab a beer. I'm going to sit with Danny. I'm going to watch sixes.
It's going to be wonderful, especially if Jimmy comes along as well. What an honour if he was able to come along and watch a man with such cricketing prowess.
Then I'm going to have to run around with the podcast recorder and go do interviews.
Yeah. Are you going to be interviewing people for the 852?
I get a feeling I'm not going to be allowed past a certain gate which says POMA on it. So more in the rumour mill. Another little person just gave me a little whisper in the ear this week, and we're going to have international cricket here in Hong Kong from January to March. So 3 months straight of international cricket. I don't know where. I don't know who's coming. I can guess. We've got a good tie-up with Malaysia. They come every year. We go there. We've got a good tie-up with Oman now. They come and go. We had Nepal last year. I have no idea who it is, but I'm not expecting to be able to sit in the stands for that one.
I think not. As the only representative in commentating in Hong Kong,
Well,
you should be the one chosen.
We'll get through it. Anyway, shall we get on with the show?
Let's do it.
Giddy up.
And now it's time for Outs and Ins with all last week's action in Hong Kong. Take us away, Bushy.
Yeah, it's time for Outs and Ins, where we check all the results from last weekend's games. And I'll just say at the beginning, we've been doing the tipping each week. A guest tips, I tip. Currently, all of the guest hosts are on 10. Aaron's on 10.
That's a wonderful sort of tie-breaking round anyway.
Well, it's up to you to... so Jay promised miracles last week and was just horrid.
I have noted down who I have predicted for everything. This won't be a wild guess. I've done my research.
There's only one that I got absolutely done over on, and that's the Scorp. So we'll get to that. But we're going to start with Saturday Div 1. IRC... I can do that. We'll do that when we get to Sunday. Saturday Div 1, the IRC Charlie Bears versus the India Club Yotters at Ting Kwong Road Recreation Ground. I'll just say that Jay picked the Charlie Bears, I picked India Club Yotters, and obviously I was very much correct. That was a thumping.
It really was. I mean, looking at the scoreboard here, but I had a look at the stats throughout the season, and it is a tough team to beat when Niaz and Shelton both have bowling averages of 6.43 and 3.75.
How are they bowling in Saturday? But when it's Div 1, that's fine. Yes, the top scores, we'll go through the scores. The Charlie Bears managed 84 for 10 and 17.4, which made it sound like a T20 game. And the Yotters chased it down in 17, 85 for 4. Akash Yadav with a 48. Shelton De Cruz, Botter's favourite cricketer, so he loves pronouncing that name, Shelton G. Dela Cruz, which isn't right. Got a 22. And player of the match, of course, Niaz Ali, 3 for 33. Off 7. So that's a big win for the Otters. Moving on to the HKCC Nomads versus USRC Tigers. That was up here at HKCC. Jay picked... He
picked the Charlie Bears because he refuses to pick any Hong Kong cricket club team.
So he picked the Tigers on this one, and I picked the Nomads. Again, terrible decision from Jay. The Nomads did it easy. Tigers putting on 170 for 8 in their 35. How'd the Nomads do?
Well, I mean, they have Sahal, right?
They got Sahal.
He's been cruising. And Mark Farmer as well, who we'll speak to later. But Sahal's been cruising with about the season. 129 and a 55. And he can bowl too now because he's come back from his back injury. So they've got quite a good catch in him.
I told him he's going to be a guest co-host
Great.
And he said to me, once I got my batting and bowling back together, I messaged him after this game and said, all right, we're done. You're going to be coming on, mate.
Back.
Player of the match, Sahal Malvin Carr, 55 not out with the bat, 2 for 28 off 4. Absolute thumping by the Nomads. They win by 7 wickets. Another tip to Aaron. Saturday Div 2, the India Club All-Stars versus the KCC Never-Evers. Saracens out at Cam 10. And want to start off by talking about my little mate who does broadcast for Cricket Hong Kong China, Sachin Mittal. Got himself a Michelle Pfeiffer against the KCC. 3.1 overs, 1 maiden, 5 for 6.
I want to know where that 6 came from. That's an unbelievable spell of bowling.
The only person at the Saracens that got in double figures. Now, I'll quickly say Malhal Vora, the captain, didn't play this game, so it's not his fault. Yaz was the only person to get into double figures. I believe it was 18, but they got absolutely smashed. The India Club All-Stars, they were bowled out in 28.3 for 185, but then they bowled out the Saracens for 58.
The never-ever category.
Absolutely, in the never-ever category. Sorry, Saracens. And that was last week when with Jay, I went, okay, fine. I picked them once a year. I picked the Saracens and I lost the tip.
Never again.
Stupid. Anyway, moving on to the Diasqua Little Saiwan Strikers versus Laguna Gully out at GDB. A 52-run, 10th wicket partnership between Nafa Abdul and Subman Mehta got Laguna Gully within 2 runs of victory with 2 balls remaining. But Amit Nawar struck on the second last delivery, dismissing Abdul, and the Strikers won by 1. Oh, this game came right down to the wire.
It did, but that is the sort of Saturday Championship. I know we've only played a few games, but it looks like it's going to be quite an exciting season because there are a number of teams there that are going to be competing for promotion.
Yeah, and both teams again bowled out inside their 35, though Laguna Gully, who lost, actually went the closest at 35.4 before they lost. Strikers win by 1. Player of the match, Amit Nawar for the Strikers. And well done to them. Jay did pick the Strikers. I picked Laguna Gully and I missed out by 2 runs, which is a bit sad. Sunday Div 1. Now we get on to it. It's the HKCC Scorpions versus USRC Elite up here at Hong Kong Cricket Club. The other Div 1 team you don't play in, Tom. You play in the Wanderers. Talk us through this one.
I think they're about 130 for 3 at some point, but I mean, if we can talk about Anshi for a bit, I think
the only shining light in what is the not a great season so far for the
so far, no. I mean, he's got 83 out of the total of 137. I mean, he's scoring runs for fun this season. You need 300 runs to get on the honours board at Hong Kong Cricket Club within a season.
Well, he's already there, right?
He's already there. He's passed 300 in 2 games. So I think he'll comfortably make it onto the board yet again. And yeah, I mean, in terms of what happened to the game, I sort of caught up on the highlights and
they got Ali Hassan.
Yeah, from what I heard, they'd been using that pitch for 6 games, quote unquote. Said a few of the guys afterwards, and it was ragging. That was, but
I mean, Ange 83 out of a total of 137. Not a lot of help with the bat there.
No, I mean, George Loop won't like this, but George Loop came up from the Opties last year, scoring buckets of runs in Division 2.
Absolutely.
And has got a golden duck and then a 6-ball duck, so it's very much a welcome to Division 1 for George Loop.
Also, Akbar Khan, who obviously got very annoyed that I tipped the Scorps, smashed a 75 off 44. Quick question to you, Tom.
Yep.
Has the experiment to move Martin and Cat to the Wanderers failed?
Depends what you mean by
failure. We're literally only a month into the season, and it's a ridiculous question. But you take those 2 out of the team, your batting, obviously not your batting, but the Scorps batting is failing, 137 all out in the 37th and chased down by USRC Elite, who got thumped by KCC
It's only one game, because I mean, Anchi did score 247 in one game, so they scored, I can't remember what it was, 300 odd. But I mean, for the Wanderers, it's fine. Niz is averaging 84 and a half, and Martin's averaging 41, both striking well over 100. But the experiment was actually more, 2 years ago when David Varley decided to load the Scorps as such, and and that was to the detriment of the Wanderers, who ended up getting relegated and have since come back up. So it depends what you define as a success.
I define the fact that I picked the Scorps and didn't get a tip on this one. Jay obviously picking against HKCC Scorpions. Quick shout out to Ali Hassan. He got the Michelle 5 for 18 off 10.
Very well. Very
ridiculous.
Well.
He just was eating up that old pitch, and that's another youngster that has come through the pathway program that we'll talk about with Farms later in the show. Hang on, we were going to play a little sting for the Scorps, weren't we? Is it this button?
No.
Is it this button?
That's it.
Okay, well done, Scorps. Thanks for ruining my tips. Okay, moving on. Over to Ting Kwong Road Recreation Ground. The grudge match, again, it was Diasqua Little Saiwan, Tony Turners versus Pack Elite. Tony Turners gave him a touch-up on the Astro only a few days earlier, but Pack playing, they decided to put their full team together in this one. Also, to note in this game, Diasqua Little Saiwan, Sheria Khan got a pinky finger injury that needs some stitches on his bowling hand, but he's off to Pakistan as well. So Diasqua Little Saiwan, Ahsan Khan didn't play, he was sick, and then it ended up being back to usual for Pack Elite, smashing them.
Yeah, their batting lineup is unbelievable. They're an absolute force to be reckoned with, and they have been, over the past few years. They're one of my least favourite sides to play against, certainly in Division 1.
And Zishan, he's just in stupid form. 94 off 99. Sunny Singh and Haseeb Mohammed right at the end putting on extra runs. 359 for 5 in their 50. And then the Tony Turners with Sheria not being able to bat, all out for 135 in 31.5. And you talk about the batting lineup, but the bowling lineup is also really, really strong.
It's also very good.
They've brought in Gaz, they brought in Haroon. Gaz has got a 4 for, he's player of the match, 4 for 21 off 9. Haroon Nashad also with 2 wickets to his name. And the ever ageless Manir Dar for Tony Turner's also got 2 for in the stats.
Best cricketer in Hong Kong, Manir Dar.
He's just ridiculous.
As you said, ageless.
He's older than me.
Yeah, no, he's unbelievable. I also thoroughly unenjoy playing against him as well.
On to Sunday, Div 2, Diasqua Little Saiwan Knights versus CHK Dragons. It was out at PKVR Park. It was really, really hot. Dragons captain Jason Loy fought hard with the bat and got himself a half century. I hear on the grapevine he might have got a bit of a doozy of an LBW decision.
There's been a few people complaining I've seen on the highlight reel of certainly up at the Cricket Club or at KCC. It's something
a high thigh bruise mark to prove it. But anyway, he did his best, but the Knights bowled out in 43.2, put on 213. Not a big score at PKVR Park, but the Dragons, unfortunately, bowled out for 157. Player of the match, Suleiman Nassim Butt with 74 off 98. Jason Loy with his 58. And with the ball, 3 players, 2 from the Knights, 1 from the Dragons. Ming Lee from the Dragons getting a 3 for 37 as well. Bit of a shame. Jay and I both picked the Dragons on that one. They'll come back. So the tipping tally at the moment is, and you need to take note of this because you're going to be in charge coming up very shortly in Ins and Outs. The guest has 12, Bushy has 13.
One ahead. I've done my research, so I'm fairly confident about this.
Well, the guests have said that all the time. Botters used to thrash me every week. So,
yeah?
Yeah, either he was brilliant or I was terrible last year and I've improved, or the guests are terrible. We'll find out coming up shortly in Ins and Outs.
Hi, this is Shiv Mathur from the Hong Kong Cricket Club, and you're listening to the 8 for 52 podcast with Bushy.
Ins and Outs next. All the upcoming action in cricket in Hong Kong. Take us away, Bushy.
Yep, time for Ins and Outs, where we put our tips in and tell you all about the games coming up this weekend in men's cricket. Let's start with Saturday Div 1 type. We're going out to Ting Kwong Road Recreation Ground for Div 1 of Saturday. It's the Sky Warriors versus the India Club Yodders.
This will be interesting, this game.
You think? Really?
Is Niaz playing for the India Club?
No.
Okay, I'm going to change.
That's coming up in Sky Plaza Road.
I'm going to change. So Manir will play for Lil Saiwan then, right?
Possibly.
I
don't know all the rules. I can't remember them all. Is he allowed to play Saturday Div 1 plus he's allowed to play Sunday Div 1?
Can we re-record? Because I'm confused about the India Club Yodders.
Yeah, that's Niaz.
So why isn't he playing?
It's coming up in Sky Plaza Road.
Oh, right. let's not re-record then.
Let's just say he's probably not available.
Interesting. I will change my pick then. I was going to go with India Club. No, I will. I'll stick with India Club. Stick with what you know.
Yeah, I mean, Niaz is Niaz, but there's also other good players in there. So.
Well, because Munir is playing for Lil Someone.
Yeah.
Who?
Maybe. And then it'll be a thrashing. Also in Div 1, Gap Ramblers versus, who's that playing? You're not going to be available, are you?
I'm not available, actually, no.
CCC Jinsung. Never know what team turns up. How do you feel about your team lineup this week?
I haven't actually got it yet, but nope, still backing the CCC boys to beat the Ramblers, the old enemy. It's in the hot dog derby, I believe they call it.
Oh, really?
Losing captain has to eat a hot dog. It was a weird thing between Elliot and one of the previous captains years ago. I can't exactly remember, but it's steeped in history.
It's a weird history. But
it is a weird history. There's been some unusual eating things that have happened after CCC games, from
righto,
racing, lettuce eating, all that sort of stuff.
Well,
but
that'll be good.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure it'll be broadcast on HKCC YouTube on
Saturday.
Saturday.
A good game. It'll be a good game.
Obviously, I'm going the Gap Ramblers. You're in the Never Ever Bin. Saturday Div 1 as well. Oh, we had the hot dog derby or whatever it is. We got the derby down at KCC, and that will be broadcast. No commentary because I'm going to the beach. KCC Tartars versus KCC Crusaders from 1 p.m.
I'm backing the Crusaders for this game.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. The Crusaders lost up here, right?
Who did you go with, for the Ramblers CCC game?
Really?
Okay.
I've already said who I went with, and B,
Just
that's a
checking.
stupid question. I'm Gap Ramblers. You're going with the Crusaders. No, I kind of feel like the Tartars might have a season this year, and the Crusaders lost that game up here. But I will go with the Crusaders because it's Botter's son's old team, so give him a shout-out to Jaden. More Div 1. Lots of Saturday Div 1 going on out at PKVR Park this one. The SCC Lancers versus the IRC Charlie Bears.
I'm going to actually go with the Charlie Bears for this game.
Really? I mean, you just went through how they went against the Otters, was it? Who was it? Who did they play against? I can never remember.
But the SEC Lancers, both of their games have been rained off, so I don't know what they have coming up on Saturday. So, and I've played against the Charlie Bears before, and if their top three are firing, they can do particularly well. So I'll back the Charlie Bears.
They were bowled out for 84.
Yeah, but their top three didn't fire in that game then, did they?
No, obviously not. Anyway, Charlie Bears for you. Charlie Bears are another one in the Never Ever Been for me, so it will be the Lancers. Saturday, Div 2 finally, out of GDB. Talking about Never Evers, KCC Saracens versus HKUCC.
I've written under this undecided.
I can tell you that Saracens' top scorer, Yaz Dazwani, will cover it coming up in Sky Plaza Road, out of town, on tour. So they don't have Yaz.
I'm going to go with the Saracens.
I love it.
I am going to go with the Saracens.
Is there a reason? I mean, you heard Jay last week who refused to tip any HKCC teams, but you're being much more malleable.
As I get older, I don't see this as a rivalry, more of a friendship, the whole thing. So
beautiful.
It doesn't matter to me.
Well, I mean, personally, in my heart, I'd love you to win this tip. They've got to get a win eventually, but they don't look like it anytime soon. So I will be going with HKU. Also in Div 2, the Diasqua Little So One Strikers versus CCC Hung Si.
As a CCC Hung Si player, I'm actually not going to tip them this time. So I do think the Little So One Strikers, like having looked at the games they played, I think they'll be a force to be reckoned with in Div 2.
You played with Hung Si?
No, sorry, I played for CCC.
Yes, that makes more sense.
Did I say Hung Si?
You said I play as a player of CCC Hung Si, which was very odd, Tom Ingram.
Maybe one
But
day.
anyway, I'm also going with the Strikers. So let's move on to Sunday Div 1. First game out at Tinkwong Road Recreation Ground. The poor old Vagabonds are going to have a game. They're playing, oh my dear, it's Pack Elite.
I was back Pack Elite to the hills.
Okay, but I don't have the full teams yet. Remember, Zishan's gone, Yassim's gone, Nazrula's probably gone. I don't know the full touring side. So they're missing those three. Vagabonds, I don't think, have anybody left that could be travelling, touring. So
I think Pakistan Elite have a deep enough roster to still be able to perform.
Well, they brought back the team the players that should have been in the team that lost to Tony Turners came up and turned up to Tony Turners last time. The Haseeb Mohammeds, the Hafiz Khans, who went off and played Div 2, smashed the team but left. So I do think that Pack's got enough as well. I was leaning towards the Vagabonds, but I think they've got enough in the tank. That's the Rising Falling Stars championship team is doing okay. I've heard, we're not talking about them yet, but that's the feeder into Pack Elite, so they're doing okay. Let's move across to Hong Kong Cricket Club, and it'll be the Diasqua Little So1 Tony Turners versus the Scorps. Now, this is going to be tough. No Ehsan, no Sherry Khan. We just talked about that. He's got a finger injury, and he's off to Pakistan for a wedding anyway. The Scorps are going to be missing
Anshi.
And nobody else has scored any runs. So...
I love the name change, by the way, the Tony Turners.
Yeah, it's
big
a
fan.
Very nice tribute to the former chairman.
Yeah, no, big fan. And I'm actually going to back them for this game as well.
Well, Scorps are very, very close to going in the never ever been after last week. So I will also go for the Little So1 Tony Turners. They've got a lot of youngsters coming through in that team as well.
Yeah.
With Ehsan gone. They were relegated. And then stayed up.
Yeah.
So
I have my own opinion about that.
Oh, so do I. And it's probably exactly what your opinion is.
But I mean, to be fair, the Wanderers, I wasn't part of the Wanderers then, has been sort of teetering on relegation for years, with COVID cancellations and stuff like that. So...
I don't want to have to bring up Bottas again and his whole infidel stories about over COVID. But, just because India Club put a team in to Div 2, Little So1 stays up. But this year's Little So1 team looks a better outfit than last year's that did get relegated, not relegated.
Yes.
So I'm happy with the TTs as well.
Yep.
Let's go to Division 1 also. No, that's the same game. I think we've covered that one, have we?
We've got the USRC Vagabonds and USRC Elite.
I do. What's going on there? Oh, yeah. Well, that's weird. There's a game on the... Oh, okay. So that first game, Vagabonds versus Pack Elites, on the public holiday on the 11th. That's what's happened here. Yep. And then again, USRC Vagabonds got to play on Friday, which we talked about already. Now they've got to play on Sunday against USRC Elite. Oh, the confusion about these public holiday games. They're at Ting Kwong Road Recreation Ground. What do you think?
It's got to be USRC Elite, I think, right?
They were not great against KCC. But I'll be honest. But Akbar Khan came up the hill after that win and just went, nah. So if Akbar's going to fire, USRC are going to smash this. And I mean, it's an interclub derby.
Yeah.
And Elite
but obviously
should be
USRC
Vagabonds.
is going to. Yeah, obviously USRC is going to smash it because they're both the same side.
You'd think. Oh, I just typed in that I was tipping the Vagabonds. That's not right. I'm tipping the Elite.
I am tipping them as well.
Yeah, same. Okay, let's move over to... there's another derby. So there was two games. That one with the Scorps and Tony Turners is on a Friday. And then, the big derby. Oh, you're not in town. You can't play for any of them. But the Wanderers versus the Scorps here at Hong Kong Cricket Club on Sunday the 13th. This is going to be a big match.
We do have...
You've got no Nazakat. You've got no...
No Martin.
Did Martin go?
Did Martin go where?
Is Martin on tour?
I believe he is. I haven't heard any different. I'm looking at our guest.
We don't know. Because, his form was... So, I don't know if he's off to Oman, but you're definitely going to lose, obviously, Nazakat.
Yeah, of course. But we also have Adil, who's still with us. He's not going on tour.
Absolutely. And the Scorps are going to lose Anch.
Yep. So, I will be backing the Wanderers for this one. Rossley's in fantastic form. Zanol's in fantastic form.
Well, that's because he took over as captain from you, right?
Thank God. Yeah.
Now he's got some form. Doesn't have to listen to you as captain.
He had great form last year as well, to be fair. He's a great cricket player.
He certainly is. I'm going the Wanderers on that one because the Scorps are teetering on the never ever been. If they lose these two coming up, then they're definitely going in. And a game I'm calling on KCC YouTube on Sunday, it's the Tony Turners versus the Templars.
It's a long weekend of cricket.
Very. Couple of teams having to play two games.
Yeah, no, I mean, I picked for my top two this year is the Templars and Pakistan Elite, so I have got to go with the Templars.
If you were listening closely to last week's podcast...
Which I did.
I believe the Templars are going to be missing a lot of players.
Their squad is so deep. There's no problem.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can't steal from infidels. If you're going to lose, I know the school teachers are talking, so Jay was talking like he's off. You lost Azaz. You lost Bubba. Hopefully Jamie's back.
You got Jamie, you got Carter, you got Wackhouse. They're fine.
Absolutely. But the Tony Turner youngsters as well, led by the evergreen Munir Dar. It's going to be tight.
No, I fully back the Templars to win this quite comfortably.
Okay. Yeah.
So I see it as a friendship.
There we go. I also will go the Templars on that one. I think we've got through all the games.
Yeah, it was a long
That's
long
a lot of
weekend ahead.
games. Yeah,
Long
Friday, which we forgot about, but it is on. There's a public holiday on Friday and games on Sunday. Plenty of cricket around Hong Kong this weekend. If you want to catch it live, head down to any of the grounds. It's going to be great. Or tune in on Sunday to KCC YouTube. I'll be broadcasting the Tony Turners versus the Templars. There'll be TTTs everywhere. But that's it.
Giddy up.
Always denied entry by the English gentry. Now we're driving Bentleys, playing 2020.
Time for the women's cricket wrap again, and joining us as always, Tammy Chu.
Hi everyone, it's Tammy.
Right, let's get stuck into last weekend's games, shall we? First off, Little Saiwan Wasps versus the Lantau Ladies. We both picked the Lantau Ladies. How did it go?
The Wasps got 151 for 4 in their 20 overs. Anyone got some? Well, Jaswinda and Rajvi, the core sister, they go like 44 not out and 43 not out.
Yeah, that's a good score for the Wasps, but it wasn't enough, was it?
Yeah, the Lantau, well, with the DLS, they got 135 in 17 overs.
It's a bit of a shame it was DLS because the game that came after it was didn't happen, did it? The 11 o'clock
no,
game?
it did happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
But there was one big score there from the Lantau Ladies. On the Cricket Heroes Cricket Hong Kong scoring, it's No Name from the Lantau Ladies, scored a 51. We have tracked down who No Name is. Who was it?
Yeah, it's Lovino Christine Joy.
Now, Christine Lovino Joy didn't used to play for the Lantau Ladies, did she?
No, yeah, she used to play for Divas as far as I remember.
Yeah, so that's a big off-season move we didn't know about until she scored a half-century. Well done to her and the Lantau Ladies. We both picked them and through they went. The Divas versus the Lionesses is the game that I don't have a score for. Did that happen? I don't think the Lionesses played, did they?
It's happened. I got the scorecard here.
I went through the system, couldn't find it.
Yeah, so the SLCC Lioness was all out in 15.5 overs, scoring 46 runs, and the Divas chased it down in 3 overs.
Well, yeah, that's what we expected. The Divas smashing that one. The game I do have in my podcast script, IC Velocity versus Link Fireflies, which we forgot to put in the women's cricket wrap last week because they were out at Cam Tin, so we missed them. They were so far north that we forgot that they were on. The IC Velocity, that's the team with my friend Maya Baloch in it.
Yes.
Not injured anymore, I noticed on the score. They put on 184 for 1 in 20 overs. That's massive.
That's true. As I think there is one girl had this got 55 runs not out.
Yeah, and Jackie Torrette got 21 not out as well.
Yep.
Big score. And the Link Fireflies, who were also my team, because remember I named the Fireflies.
Them, yeah, right?
So I'm glad I didn't have to choose on this one. We forgot it, because otherwise it would have been torn. They only managed 109 for 5 in 20. Hadisa was the player of the match, and the wickets, there was a couple of wickets to Myra as well from IC Velocity. So they got the wing on that one. Then the Diamonds, the newbies, the new players from HKCC versus the Lama Roses. We both picked Lama Roses in this one. Yeah. That's a massive score from Lama Roses batting first.
Yeah. What I would say, well, most of the runs come from extras.
Yeah, that's always an issue.
Especially in the women's, right?
We're at PKVR Reservoir, of course, it's 2 runs for a wide, 2 runs for a no ball.
Yeah.
So that added up for the new players of the Diamonds because the top scores were only 17 and 16 and 14. But they got 206 and chasing it down. Must have been missing a couple of players. The Diamonds 90 for 8 end of the game. Roses win by 116.
Yep.
Player of the match there, Jerry Segued from Llamas. So well done to her. Right, upcoming games we have this week on the 13th of October. First off, USRC Eagles versus the Diamonds. We just talked about 8:30 a.m. at PKVR Reservoir.
Yep.
What do you think?
I do actually think the Diamonds might get their first win.
Ooh.
Because I think USRC struggle on players. So if they only got 7, if they put out a team, and I think Diamonds got a chance to win.
Okay, that's going to be a big one because I'm going with the Eagles. That's Div 2. Also Div 2 at 11:30 a.m. HKCC Cavaliers, that's the one that has A.D. Lee's wife in it, I believe, versus Lama Roses, who had a big win mostly on extras. That's 11:30. What do you think? I mean, you're always HKCC. So.
Yeah, I should, but to be honest, for this week, all 3 HKCC team is playing.
Yep.
So they're probably lack of players. So I am actually want to go for Lama Roses this week.
Okay, I like the Lama Roses as well in that one. Also, I think it's the final game. It is the final game at 2:30 p.m. It's the Div 1 game. I'm assuming you're appearing in this one, or are you on tour?
Not yet.
Okay, so CCC Sunrisers. Oh, well, this is going to be a grudge match. CCC Sunrisers versus HKCC Willow Wilders. We know what you're going to pick, but tell us why.
I have to back myself up.
Yeah, that's a tough side though, the Sunrisers.
Yeah, because I think they got their full team.
Yeah, might be missing a few.
No?
All there?
All there, probably.
Oh, that makes it tough. Now, I don't know what to do here because we made a rule last week that I'm not allowed to tip against you because you go out there and bowl a hat trick and make me sound stupid, but I do always have a soft spot for the CCC Sunrisers. Just so we have a different tip this week and so you get an extra tip in the books, I will go with the Sunrisers. So there you are. Women's cricket wrap this week. The T20 leagues continue. Div 1 and Div 2. Div 2 from 8:30. Eagles versus Diamonds. Cavaliers versus the Roses in Div 2 from 11:30 a.m. And the final game, the grudge match, where we will see Tammy Chu out there playing for the HKCC Willow Wilders against the CCC Sunrisers. If you want to watch some great women's cricket, head out to PKVR Reservoir. Tammy Chu, thanks for joining us as always.
You're welcome.
And now it's time for my story, where the superstars of cricket come in and tell us their story.
Yes, it's time for my story here on the 8 for 52 podcast. And Top, you've got yourself a guest. Who have we got? You've told us in the intro, but he's here now ready to talk to us.
It's Mark Farmer. Mark, thank you so much for joining us, obviously, on the 8 for 52 podcast.
Thank you for having me. First time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we had you on comms before, but never on the podcast. But now you're here.
Excited to be here.
The fans demanded it, so we shall give. Now, the obvious place to start for you and your story is at the beginning. So what were your first memories of cricket growing up?
Now, I'm not from a cricketing family at all, so I've got this weird memory in my mind of watching TV and the ball getting hit to square leg, international game, and Deepak Patel dropping it. And that is my first memory, I think, of cricket, which is an absolute shocker. And then living in fairly rural West Auckland, just by chance there was a bunch of kids that all suddenly randomly liked cricket, and none of our parents knew a thing, but decided to encourage that interest, and got coaches in from Auckland Cricket coming out to...
So what age was that when you got your mates together?
Well, I would have been about 5. About 5 or 6, I think. Probably 5, actually. Just started school. And if my mum told me correctly, we actually had John Wright come out and coach us, the New Zealand, the coach that went and coached India for a while. And then Kaushik Patel, Deepak Patel's brother, was out there and did a bit of work with us as little young 5-year-olds. And that's where it all began.
Very good. And you obviously mentioned you weren't from a cricketing family, but there must have been a particular moment for you, because obviously you've stayed with cricket now your entire life. What was the moment that you decided, like, this is what I want to do?
I don't know. I remember talking to Mum, and she said, compared to a lot of the other young cricketers that would get a bit bored during a game of cricket, which is very understandable when you're that age, I was always very aware of the game and getting incredibly frustrated when people didn't understand what was going on. And so I think that love was there early on, and fortunately for me, my parents fostered that despite, not knowing anything about cricket really at all, and most parents would probably use that as an opportunity to steer your child away from cricket and not lose all those Saturdays and weekends. And yeah, luckily for me, that was fostered. When we moved into the city, they said, do you want to carry on with rugby? And I didn't carry on with rugby and carried on with cricket. And then, fortunate enough to have some great coaches and teammates and environments that just kept fostering that along the way.
And getting frustrated with people not knowing what was going on, do you think that was the inner coach with you, or did you have aspirations of obviously sort of playing for New Zealand or, regional cricket at least?
I think everybody has that little aspiration when you're a youngster growing up, thinking that you could play international cricket. I played a little bit of district cricket in Auckland, which was great, and often captain teams, so there must have been something in me that people identified there. And I guess the coaching came out of my club coach, Jason Mills, who was ex-professional cricketer for Auckland and New Zealand wicket-keeping coach, now runs Kookaburra. He sort of bullied me into doing a coaching course at level 1 when I was probably about 16 or 17, and I guess without him just randomly saying, Farms, you're doing this, coaching probably wouldn't have suddenly morphed into what has become a career.
Because you mentioned obviously like 16, 17 years old. Am I correct in remembering you told me before you were quite unwell around that stage, or was it sort of early 20s?
No, it was older, early 20s, around 20. I had a brain infection in my third year of university, which wiped me out and meant going to university wasn't really an option. And Sam Jones, who we know, was our overseas player at our club, probably the second year of that, and he said, well, if you're not going back to university, why don't you just come over to England and live in my dad's pub and play cricket in England?
And that's how the love with Cumnor Cricket Club, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Sort of started.
And that's where that, I guess that journey into thinking I was going to be a PE teacher turned into a full-time role as a cricket coach slowly. That was probably the start of that journey, I suppose.
So, you moved to the UK. And so where else has cricket taken you around the world?
Can I just back up a little bit?
Yeah, of course.
Because when we had Martin Coetzee, I think, was on the podcast, and his journey into cricket was because of an injury, and it seems like it's the same sort of thing for you.
Yeah, I'd always done quite a lot of coaching on the back of, been trained in coaching from a young age, and it was definitely much better money than working in a supermarket or McDonald's, and was far more enjoyable. So I always loved that and thought that aligned nicely with going into being a PE teacher.
Yeah.
And so I suppose the brain infection just opened up a whole new world in terms of going to the UK, playing a season. They said, can you come back and be our club coach? First time they'd ever have a club coach, which I was rather daunted by and thought that this is rather bizarre, but this sounds great. And then that started off going seasonal, and then a couple of years later I went back to university. There was a job on the table at my old school, and Cumnor came knocking and said, can you come back? And then that's where I met this beautiful man, Tom Ingram, and he recruited me into Brooks University cricket.
It was
it always comes back to you.
It always does.
Somehow,
all roads lead to Tom Ingram.
What was it, Oxbridge or something?
Oxford Brooks. It wasn't quite Oxbridge, as I get reminded constantly by Chris Carter.
I like to make that little joke.
No, it's absolutely fair enough. So obviously, when you went back to Cumnor and you decided, the UK is going to be your base, what was the sort of? I mean, I know the career progression that you had, being bearing witness to it all, but I'm sure people would love to know where you went. Through the ranks within Oxfordshire. Yeah,
I mean, I was incredibly fortunate with the experiences and people connecting. I got connected to Graham Charlesworth at Oxford University and said, look, I'd love to come down. Can I just throw some balls and help out? And he said, we've got a clash of fixtures with our high performance squad, the MCCU squad. Can you take the Blues up to Leeds? And I was like, well, that sounds great. I get to take the Oxford University Blues team away. And then I thought I'd be a little bit cheeky, thinking this might be, my last time in the UK. I said, look, I know you've got a varsity at Lord's coming up, any chance? He said, yeah, absolutely. So then as a little young lad from New Zealand that never thought, clearly wasn't going to be much on the field as a cricketer, suddenly ended up in the Lord's dressing room, was a pretty special experience.
I don't want to age you both, but how long ago was this when you two met?
or 13 years ago.
Wow.
2010, 2011.
For us to be sitting at
Feels like
Tavern
yesterday, Bushy.
at HKCC, and it was 14 years ago.
I know. But no, most of my sort of adult cricketing career memories, Mark Farmer has seemed to be a part of it, which has been great, because when I joined Cumnor, I got a phone call from this random number, and it turned out to be Mark Farmer. And from being under his stewardship at Cumnor, obviously he's right in front of me, but I will say, I've had some wonderful coaches throughout my life, but Mark Farmer has been the best coach I've ever come into contact with, and so that's why I was the chairman of my university cricket side, which is when I brought him on, and obviously through his wonderful...
That was when you were the dictator, right?
Correct, yeah. Mark knows all about it. He's been sending me screenshots of stuff that should never be aired ever again today. But no, through obviously his wonderful coaching, has gone on and had a really, really great career so far. And because it was, I left university 2014, and then you came out to Hong Kong to visit me for a couple of days. 2017. There you go.
Yep.
So a few years after to come and...
So we're getting now onto the part where you've moved to Hong Kong, Tom. Heading that way as well?
Yeah, so I guess in between that, I got to the stage of going, look, I can't go summer to summer. I've got to kind of get a real job and be full-time somewhere. And a job at Oxfordshire County as a minor county came up as their high-performance manager. And thought that was a bit of a long shot, but I got that job, went down to Sussex County Cricket Club, where they were a partner with Oxfordshire, and managed to get that job and had a year and a half doing that. But having lived summer to summer for quite a number of years, my second UK winter was a bit of a reality check, and realised that that's probably not something that I want to continue to experience. But my time in the UK was fantastic in Oxfordshire cricket. And the small world on the way back to NZ, I thought I'd drop Tom a line. It happened to be his birthday as I was coming back.
It was. It was a dark day.
And
you were here already by then.
I was already here, yeah. So I would have been, 2 years into Hong Kong, and he, dropped me a line and said, I'm on my way through. I think you slept on my sofa, is that correct? Yeah. And I was here on my birthday as well. It all worked out well, and... there are stories from that day that we will never ever mention, but it was obviously lovely to see him. And I did take you to the end of season cricket dinner a couple months later.
Once I had arrived,
Once you had arrived in Hong Kong,
was, a special moment for you as well.
Absolutely,
and I got
my date
introduced to what a Hong Kong brunch is, where I'd obviously come from the world thinking, brunch, flat white eggs benny at about 10:30, 11, and it was getting a little bit late, and I was like, what's happening with this brunch?
It was Lavash.
And it was a Lavash disco brunch, which was quite an eye-opener for someone that had never been in Asia before.
I feel like Tom was the worst person you could have possibly been introduced into Hong Kong by.
I agree, certainly at that time of my life. But I have matured like a fine wine, slowly but surely.
Well, I knew what I was coming into a little bit, because I obviously knew Tom during his university years, and fair to say he was, pretty conservative in his approach.
Absolutely.
But I guess the other small degrees of separation as Simon Cook was the head coach of the Hong Kong men's team, and his childhood club was Cumnor Cricket Club. So I'd met Simon once or twice, and his brother had been in the Cumnor first team all the way through. So very polar opposites. I caught up with Simon Cook for a coffee and had beers with Tom Ingram, and they're two very different personalities, offering very different perspectives on life.
Yeah.
So you've come here, you've gone to brunch, you've met Simon.
Not at brunch.
You're on your way to New Zealand. How did you end up here, permanently?
Well, I said to Cookie, look, I'm going home. I'll probably become a teacher, or if something comes up overseas or here, let me know. Even if it's a short role, keen to explore different parts of the world and see what happens. And he said, well, there might be something coming up. If there's anything, I'll let you know. And then I think later that month, or a month or two later, he sent me a message saying, send me your CV. That would have been February coming through, I think.
Oh, yeah, it would have been around that.
Had a...
We need years, not just months.
2017.
Okay, 2017.
So that would have been February 2017 I came through, and then 5th of May 2017 I landed.
There you go. And so what was the sort of career progression within Hong Kong cricket then? What did you start as? What roles have you done within cricket Hong Kong, and where are you now?
Yeah, I came across as a pathway coach, so looking after our pathway under 16s and 19s where there wasn't much of a structure there, and helping out with the men's training program in Hong Kong, and then I guess mucking in a little bit around the place, so with the women's squad, as and when time permitted. But it was pretty under-resourced, and I think I had Tim Cutler on my job interview, and when I arrived, Tim Cutler wasn't here and Charlie Burke wasn't here, so it had a pretty big turnover in the organisation, and Simon was there trying to, I guess, steady the ship. And yeah, I guess once you stick around long enough, you get to know the way the place works and the ins and outs of Hong Kong, which is a pretty unique
that was going to be
landscape.
That was going to be my sort of next question. I mean, like, obviously this sport has taken you all over the world. Was there a specific reason you decided to settle here for, was coming up 7 years now?
I mean, coming through in February, I absolutely fell in love with the place, having had no idea about Hong Kong, as many people can attest to, I'm sure. You come here and you go, wow, this place is incredible. And then getting involved in cricket and seeing the tremendous opportunity, the diversity, the challenge, every day is different. There's some exciting talent that's coming through that's incredibly raw. And then obviously met my wife-to-be, and we've got 2 wonderful daughters, so obviously that makes changes the dynamic, but I absolutely adore Hong Kong, and all the challenges that come with it and the contrast. It's an incredible place.
I first came here in 1997 and hated it.
Really?
But it was for a holiday.
Yeah.
Then I came back in 2014. You should be PR now then, right?
Yeah, I've got to do the paperwork, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You should get onto that.
Yeah.
I just did the sums and your 7 years are up, so PR time. I want to talk more about the pathway as well, because like we had Shiv on last week, and all he does is rave about you, and every time we talk to any of the youngsters who rave about you. Coming up in Sky Plaza Road, we're going to name the team going to the China men's New China League, and there's a whole heap of your kids in there as well. So just tell us a bit about that pathway program.
Yes, I guess my migration through roles was coming in looking after the pathway with no resourcing. When Cookie left, it was high performance manager and then general manager and involved in high performance, and pitched to Caravel Foundation around the pathway and what I'd love to see created there, and they went for it, which was amazing. And then I sort of thought, well, actually now that I've created this concept, I would love to be the one delivering on it. So to come back and be on the tools and coaching is amazing, but big picture is about trying to create a pathway similar to those that you see in full member countries or environments that ultimately is about producing cricketers for the Hong Kong men's team. So that's ultimately the big picture out of it.
And, obviously on the pathway system, as you just mentioned, you get to see, juniors with all the potential in the world. But is there anyone sort of outside, Shiv, Veer, Danny Mapp, or my arch nemesis, Darsh Vora, that you see having a really bright future with Hong Kong cricket?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple that come to mind in terms of Preet.
Okay,
Kia,
everyone's been talking about him in the last 2 weeks. Like somebody else was playing against him and was like, "This young kid's great. He did a straight drive and it was just a block and it took off." And I've called under the All Stars games with him, and yeah, he's going to be a superstar as well.
Yeah, so he's a very exciting prospect going forward. Phenomenal attitude, and I think that underpins someone that's going to keep progressing. Is a great attitude and approach to keep learning and challenging themselves and doing the hard work behind the scenes to achieve that. Abroad in Australia, who's Jude Thomas is an exciting prospect, not within our sort of pathway system as such, have been hands-on, but is an exciting.
Is he still interested to do the Hong Kong system?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, very, very keen. Obviously, there's always a challenge with anyone managing, being overseas and dynamics.
He's in Adelaide or something, right?
Yeah, and his mum comes up here often, and so that's a very exciting opportunity. And there are certainly a lot of other youngsters younger than that, but I certainly don't want to mention names. They're a bit young to be, picking.
The one thing I did want
picking out.
the names that you were picking out. There was one thing in my mind that we've got a stream of fast bowlers and good bowlers as well, young bowlers, but the batters less so, but the names that you're now pointing out, they're all batters, right?
Yeah, and batting's probably, you look across, the women's squad, the youth squads, it's always been a really challenging area to develop, not playing on turf that much, not playing longer formats. And so trying to get a lot of work into those players, learning how to play against spin, and that's why having the Merlin bowling machines has been an absolute game changer, and I can see that, with even how the men are beginning to approach the way that they play spin, a really valuable asset. So certainly a focus of mine with the players, as I'm sure they would reference, is there's a lot of work that goes into developing those batting skills, and as a pathway development, it'll be trying to start that a little bit younger. We're sort of 16s and 19s with a bit of 13s at All-Stars, so trying to get a bit more at the younger age.
I guess with the pathway system, though, the thing you're kind of battling against is, as these guys are getting towards, 16, 17, 18, they're deciding what they're going to do next, and losing these guys to university. Is there anything in place to sort of make sure they sort of keep coming back, or?
It's always going to be the case. I think there's an element of showing that there's a pathway within cricket, not necessarily as a huge career, but I think there's a lot of people that will be very motivated personally and for Hong Kong to do something special. I think historically within Hong Kong, you have those players that have a shorter career, go to university, and then shortly after might have to start their careers or go, I can't afford that time to cricket.
Yeah.
And you have players that are able to stay through and make a career out of cricket, and I think the best environment for us is when you have that hybrid and you have those players coming through from those diverse backgrounds.
Well, I touched on it, and I'll touch on it again. The team that's going to Hangzhou now is all Hong Kong passport, and there's heaps of youngsters in that. The Iqbal brothers, Kasim and Zaire, and the likes of that, they've come through your pathway as well, because they're Hong Kong passport holders, so their chances of staying in Hong Kong obviously are a lot higher.
Yeah, definitely, and I think that's one thing that I've seen change a lot over my time here is the number of players that are Hong Kong born or Hong Kong passport holders that are coming through the system all the way through, and I think that's really, really exciting. I think people's awareness and attitude towards passports, there's a lot more people that will look at that and consider moving to a Hong Kong passport as well. The opportunity within Asian Games, we talk about the Olympics, which is not necessarily accessible yet, I don't think, because it's going to be a very small number of teams that are able to get that, but it gives the sport so much more credibility, certainly within the region and globally. So yeah, I think that's a really, really exciting aspect of the pathway as well, is that there are a lot of players that are born and bred and created as cricketers in Hong Kong.
Is the focus obviously on the younger lads coming through? Is there a particular format that you in the pathway system is focusing on, or is it trying to just sort of be a well-rounded cricketer for the future in Hong Kong?
I would love our players to be playing longer formats because we don't get enough time out in the middle, and to learn the craft and the art of batting, you need to be able to spend a bit of time out there, I feel. I think the T20 skills in terms of power hitting and all the rest of it can come later or as part of that journey, but I think there is an element of learning the skill by having that time out in the middle. Ultimately, you want to be hitting balls and being out in the middle, and if the format is so short and you don't get that chance, you're really missing a key chunk of development. So, recently the All-Stars, and you only have to talk to the players, playing 35 overs for the under-13s and 50 overs for the under-16s, many of whom would have never have played 50-over cricket, was brilliant and a huge challenge. Very rarely were the teams able to bat 50 overs.
Yeah.
And so
they were also exhausted.
Yeah,
I was
it was
calling
pretty
that one,
hot.
but it was great. I mean, it was good, and the kids were so excited about playing a 50-over game, except for the under-16s, 35 overs for the under-13s. They were all exhausted, but they all had fun.
yeah.
Because that sort of leads into my next question. I mean, given the continued sort of exposure globally of T20 cricket, do you think that Cricket Hong Kong should embrace it and make Sunday cricket T20 so you can get 2 games to be played on every ground on Sundays, also allowing people that have families to be able to not be away for the whole day and just say, oh, I'm only taking a half day? Do you think that would benefit Cricket Hong Kong for the future?
Pressure's on.
Are you trying to suggest that we haven't embraced 2020 cricket?
I think T20 cricket's only
I
embraced.
think it sounds like he just doesn't want to play 50 overs.
I think T20 cricket's only embraced at the upper levels of Premier League. But even then, they've still got T20 and they've got 50 over, and the 2-day stuff. So it's all well covered there. Whereas for the guys on Sundays who, don't have high hopes of certainly playing for Hong Kong or playing Premier League, that have a family, you're going to start running out of people to play, and I think the standard is going to drop.
Better start
It sounds like somebody's had a baby, got married, and it's a completely different person from 10 years ago. Right?
It is.
I don't
It seems
recognise this guy.
very personal. This
Speaking
question.
from experience, but this is the thing. I speak to a number of players throughout Hong Kong that I play with and against, and I know that there are a number of people who I'm not going to name that will no longer be playing 50 over cricket as of next year.
Yeah, I know a number of people, I think, that would turn around and go, that's a terrible idea, Thomas. I love playing 50 over cricket on a Sunday.
I have no opinion.
Name them.
I'm going to call it whether it's 50 or 20. I'm going to call them all anyway. So
Yeah.
the day out is irrelevant to me. It's up to you two to fight this one out.
I think that's a life stage thing. Obviously, your circumstances would suit T20 cricket, but Sunday cricket is the learning ground for a lot of our youth cricketers coming through. And if we don't get them out in the middle learning from senior players and coming through, then that's a challenge.
We'll make the Wanderers play back-to-back T20s each Sunday.
No, it's either morning or afternoon.
No,
That's the rules.
Both games. See?
I mean, you must have noticed, obviously, since you're in your 7 years in Hong Kong, there's now a sort of great disparity in age between, they're either, 16, 17 years old, or they are older, like myself, sort of mid-30s. And we don't have the same sort of expats coming through, coming in at 25 like I did, like Jono, like Rory, to sort of replace the guys who have reached a different stage of life. Do you not think that might have an impact?
Nah, we're just going to keep playing Sunday 50 over cricket, I think. I totally get what you're saying, and we spoke off air about the fact that the demographic has changed and there's less of those younger people coming into Hong Kong. But I think we've got to find a way of making this work, and from my point of view, if that means more young players playing Sunday cricket and getting exposure to playing 50 over cricket, then that's great. I think that's a challenge around the world. If I reference New Zealand, it was more around 2-day cricket in Auckland, where guys are all going, can we bin 2-day cricket off? Like, it's just so tedious and takes forever. Can we just play limited overs cricket? And that's probably the attitudes of a lot of people, particularly once you get a bit older and you.
Well, that's a good thing about the Hancock Fincher Shield, because everybody who plays it, loves it for a day, gets into the second day and goes, oh, thank God we only play 50 over.
Yeah.
Well, certainly in New Zealand as well, if you're doing 2 days over Saturdays and you nick off the first day and you don't bat the next and you lose the toss, and then you could go a number of weeks without batting. But yeah, I think 50 over is really, really critical to the development of the game and our pathway. It's so important, but it is a challenge to have that depth in terms of player base.
And so I guess the final thing, we'll bring it back to you now and your role currently. And have you got any sort of long-term goals, like career-wise or personally, that might take you away from Hong Kong, or are you just taking things as they come?
I've got no plans to leave Hong Kong. There's still a huge opportunity and a huge amount that I'd love to see and achieve here with cricket across the board, not just related to the pathway, whether that relates to women's cricket, men's cricket, seeing more schools with cricket nets in them, particularly talking about state schools here, and I think there's a really untapped opportunity there, and I think there's a little bit of a disparity and an imbalance that's happened probably since the pandemic in terms of the number of state school cricketers that are coming through recreational cricket, and I think there's a huge
market in even not just the state schools, but the international schools. We talked about it with Shiv last week, how HKIS doesn't have one. My son's school, that they've decided to put their own team together. They're going to enter this year because they've never been in it. And I mean, there's lots of kids out there that want to play at school, not just the traditional ones that have always played the school one. And going forward gets you more youngsters.
No, absolutely. And it's so hard to access cricket in Hong Kong because there's only 2 sets of public nets out and about. So if we can get nets in schools, naturally people are going to be picking up a bat and a ball. And, I went down to the Islamic school. Ali Wakas, luckily, let me accepted my own invite to go down and have a look at the school. But looking at lunchtime, and they've got 2 nets down the side which is just full of kids playing cricket at lunchtime.
He's doing an amazing job down there.
Down the middle of 2 basketball courts, there's guys playing tape ball in the middle with a basketball game and a football game, and I got to come in and bowl a ball and got parked over the top of the school.
Never bowl against a tape ball.
Yeah.
You know, that was so heartening to see all these people just loving the game of cricket, playing, you know, probably growing up in New Zealand, Australia, England, playing backyard cricket and those sorts of things, just loving that opportunity. And I don't think there's enough of it within our government facilities, so getting nets into schools and getting people playing cricket in our own unique way and creating your own rules, I think that's just such a great opportunity, and outside the pathway I think there's so much scope to develop the game and give people access to the game.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute joy to have you here.
Thank you, Thomas. Thank you, Bushy.
Thanks, Farbs. Yep, there's the big bird. Lots of tours going on for Hong Kong China teams. I'm going to start with a tour to Hangzhou. That a different team, not the one that's going to Oman, is coming here to. I think they're already left, or they're very close to leaving. They're going to play in the China Super League, I think it's called, and we're going to run through the team for that one. We still don't know the games. We still don't know the teams that are playing in it, apart from Hong Kong China. But it's led by Andrew Lloyd. Managed by A.D. Lee, who was on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. And we'll run through the team here, Tom. Captain Jason Lloyd from the Dragons. Niaz Ali, as we were talking about earlier, he's going to be AWOL, I think, as he's going out to Hangzhou. Sunny Bimsaria from KCC. There's
Great player.
another one missing from the Templars, though.
He's had some of the worst decisions I've ever seen in cricket. The bloke's the unluckiest batsman I've ever seen in my life.
Well, he's starting to get some form. He's in this regular lineup that's heading off to China. Bobby Chan and Raymond Chan from the Dragons. And we get into the youngsters. We're going to talk about this with Farms, about the youngsters going. Paco Chow from KCC. Also Ip Tung from KCC. I got a first look at him the other day at an under-19s game. Both from Little Saiwan, Arez Dar and Kasim Iqbal. His brother, Zahir Iqbal, who's from India Club, is going. Then we've got some really big names on this team. Gazamfa Muhammad, Wahid Muhammad, Shoaib Rana, and Maran Zeb.
Zebby's there.
Yep.
That's amazing. He had the time off from work?
It would appear so, and has a Hong Kong passport, which is a requirement for this tour.
Good on Zebby.
Yep. So that's a great team we're setting up to Hangzhou while the other men's team is off in Oman.
Yeah.
We'll have more details about their games coming up. Now, the other one I wanted to talk to you about, the Hong Kong Sixers is coming.
Isn't that fantastic? It's finally back.
It is fantastic. And we talked about it in the intro, how I'm just going to sit on a park bench drinking beers all day and hopefully not making a nuisance of myself. But I did. Somebody sent me a little tip, a little list today of the Hong Kong China men's team that's going to play in the Sixers.
I reckon I can get the 6 or 7, is it?
There's 7 players listed. Now I'm just scrolling through the infinite amount of messages I've received today. I might have to search for it. Okay, there it is. All right. Tell me who you think is going to be the 7 players for Hong Kong China in the Sixers.
The first question is Jamie keeping? Or is Jamie keeping?
No.
Okay, right. So Zishan?
No. Yes.
Yeah. Baba Hyatt?
No.
Anshi?
No.
Nizkat?
Yes.
Yasim?
No.
Ehsan?
Yes.
Izaz?
No.
Interesting. Otherwise, well, that was my 7, but I do have 3 sort of replacements.
Oh, you still got 4 to go.
Munir Dar?
No.
Definitely deserves to be in there. Great player. Adil Mahmood?
No.
Unbelievable. Atiq Iqbal?
No.
Am I on this list? I'm running out of good players.
Oh, well, I mean, we're sitting up at HKCC and someone scored a bunch of runs up here, but anyway. Furrowed brow, trying to think of who at HKCC's made a bunch of runs.
Matt Rossley?
No.
He can't bowl. Martin Katsir can't bowl. Martin Katsir?
No.
He can't bowl, so...
Who can bowl and bat at HKCC?
Adil Mahmood.
Who else? Doesn't matter about passport or anything.
Honestly, the name eludes me.
Fine. Okay, I'll run through the team. Nazakat Khan.
Yeah.
Zishan Ali.
Yeah.
Salhal Malvin Khan.
Oh, my God, of course.
That's kind of
Well,
embarrassing.
he hasn't been here very long, though.
Doesn't matter. It's the Sixers.
Yeah, no,
Ehsan
that's fair
Khan.
enough. That's fair enough. He's gone.
Ehsan Khan. Imran Arif.
Oh, God, best-looking bloke in Hong Kong. Yeah.
He does the morning league umpiring at
Yeah,
KCC.
fair.
Benny Paras Singh has got a go.
Great.
And number 7 is the captain for the team that's currently going to Hangzhou, Jason Loy.
That's great. Yeah, Jason does that. He scores an offensive amount of runs. That's awesome.
Yeah, so Zishan will keep. Everyone else can bowl. And that's the team.
Yeah, no, fantastic.
That's the team I've been told. Whether it's true or not, I don't know.
So why is Nanchi playing?
I don't have the
He can
answers.
bowl, he can bat.
All I've got is the list. Maybe they're staying in Oman. I mean, Bubba can bowl a cutter.
Yeah, no, for sure. As I said, I don't know who's away, so that would be who I would pick in my perfect 6 or 7.
Well, Nazakat, Zishan, and Ehsan are going to have to fly back
Right.
and then go back. So they just send those 3, and then they put 4 locals into the team. I like it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like exposure-wise, but if we really brought out our top 6 or 7, I think there's a chance.
Yeah, but I mean, tours are tours. That's the problem, and we're on tour.
Yeah.
So it's a mix and a match. And
But if they're going to send 3 back, why not send 6?
I don't understand. Maybe that's the budget.
Yeah, fair.
Who knows?
We'll ask Mark later.
Yeah, we'll see. And I'll find it. Well, I reckon I'll find out at the press conference tomorrow. So that's the other thing we have to talk about right now. I'm off to the Hong Kong Sixers press conference on Tuesday.
Was that a snap press conference? Is there something new to be announced?
No, I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, it was a snap telling me that it was on because
Right.
I was only invited today. So I'm going to go there and I'm going to put my microphone up there and get some sound bites about what's going on. Maybe I'll ask those questions about Jimmy Anderson and Darwin. We'll see if I put my hand up and they just ignore me. We'll find out.
See.
But
We'll see
what's
you
going to
later.
happen if I do get some snippets? We're going to put them in the podcast right now.
Good idea.
Okay, I've tracked down the chairperson of Hong Kong China Cricket. It is Burgee Shroff. Burgee, thanks for joining us on the podcast. We're talking Sixers. We're at the launch today. It's been a fantastic thing. Coming up November 1, 2 and 3. What can you tell us?
Well, bringing the Sixers back to Hong Kong is more than just a celebration of cricket. It is a celebration of our community and the passion we share for this wonderful sport. It pays homage to the vibrant city of Hong Kong. The Sixers has always been a highly anticipated event in the cricketing world. The last Sixers tournament was viewed by over 100 million viewers, and I reckon this time we'll probably have about 380 million viewers.
380 million over the 3 days. That's ridiculous. That's huge. Now, we did hear rumours all the time during the weeks coming up. I believe it was announced today Star Sports are going to be broadcasting this via TCM as the management company.
Yes, we spent a lot of time cultivating a good relationship with TCM and Star Sports, and we met them at the ICC conference and the ACC conference, and we've partnered with them to ensure that this particular tournament is even more magnificent than the previous ones.
That's absolutely fantastic. Now, you're probably going to say no comment, but can you tell me about, is there any big names you want to drop? See, there's been rumours going around Hong Kong, in the cricket circus, of course, about some big names coming. Are you able to confirm or deny them, or are you just going to say no comment?
I think it's probably, all I can say is we will be getting some big names out. Some have confirmed and some have not. So I think to keep up the excitement, let's just wait a couple of weeks before everybody's confirmed.
Fair enough. We're about 3 weeks away. We're going to find out who everyone is. Burgee, thanks for joining us on the podcast.
Thank you very much indeed.
Okay, now we're joined by the Director of Cricket Hong Kong China, Anoop Gidwani. Anoop, thanks for joining us on the podcast for a quick chat about the Hong Kong Sixers.
Most welcome.
Let's talk about the teams. I've just announced it earlier on the podcast, and it's a split. 3 internationals flying back from the overseas tour in Oman, in Nazakat, Ehsan and Zishan. But you've got 4 local players joining for the Sixers, and that's going off the top of my head because I don't have it in front of me. Salhal, Benny, Imran and Jason Loy. What was the decision? Was it a decision to go 50-50, or is that just how it sort of panned out?
So let's say this. I mean, the national team will be away in Oman for the Emerging Asia Cup, which is a T20 format. But from that, they'll be going to Africa for the Challenge League, and that is a 50-over format. So you require the players who are selected for the Sixers to come back from Oman, miss out on a pre-tour in Cape Town, play in the Sixers, and then fly back to Africa to play in the Challenge League. Now, Of course, the national players were given priority, but some of them wanted to focus on the Challenge League and felt that traveling from Oman back to Hong Kong and then immediately back to Africa is too much a strain on themselves, on their body, and the preparation for the 50-over format. So they opted out. So we had this delicate balance of some internationals and some local players, and that's how we put the team together.
And the four that you chose, they're all from different clubs and different backgrounds. Was there a decision? You just went through the list, or these were people that you were targeting? You thought they're right for a six game because they can bat and bowl?
So it's not just being able to bat and bowl, but of course people who had a good record domestically as well. And we want people who are hitters, who can bowl that 1 over that's required of them, plus have a very high strike rate. So those sort of players we have selected, and hopefully we've done justice.
Fantastic. The Sixers coming up November 1, 2, 3. And Duani, thanks for joining us on the 8 for 52 podcast.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Now I've managed to track down the captain of Hong Kong, China. It's Nazaket Khan. Nazaket, welcome back to the 8 for 52 podcast.
Thank you.
Looking forward to the Sixers. You're going to fly back from Oman. You're doing the whole lot on this one. And your coach from Hong Kong, China, just walked past and said you're going to win it all, the Sixers, he says. Is that true?
If I would say yes, we have to go for a win, to be honest. Whether we, I know that most of our top players are going to be in South Africa. After emerging, they're going to fly to South Africa for the prep tour for the Challenge League B. But 3 of us is going to come back. We have a good side, and the guys who are being picked for domestically they have played really well, in domestic cricket. So we are very excited.
I haven't gone back and checked. Did you ever play for Hong Kong China with Imran, or was he before your time?
No, this is the first time I think I'm going to play with him.
So you got Imran, Benny, Jason Loy, and Sohal from Hong Kong Cricket Club. That's amazing.
Yes, to be honest, Sahal, he's very new into Hong Kong, and he's very keen to play for Hong Kong after his qualification, so he's counting his days. And to be honest, the way he played last weekend, he scored 100 and won the game for Optis, and he's a fine talent, and I'm very happy for him to be in the Sixers squad, and, it will be opportunity for him to showcase and, play against those one of the world best players. So, it will be a little bit more motivation for him to work more hard on his game and to play for Hong Kong.
Well, you've got to fly out tomorrow, so good luck in Oman because you've got to fly there. Then you're flying back in 3 weeks for this. We'll catch you in about 3 weeks' time at the Hong Kong Sixers. Nazaket Khan, good luck at the Hong Kong Sixers.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so
now we know.
Either there was some wonderful snippets in there, or that was just some dead air.
Yes.
But now we know some more about what's going on at the Sixers. It's going to be great. But there's still more information going on for Sky Plaza Road. We're now going to cross to Tammy Chu to find out all about the women's tour that's coming up very shortly. Yep, Tammy Chu's back to join us for Sky Plaza Road with the team on tour to South Korea. Shall we run through the team announcement, Tammy?
Yes.
Okay, captain, of course, now Natasha Miles, vice-captain Mariam Bibi, Alison Su, Betty Chan, Emma Lai, Fatima Amir, Ikra Sahar, Joylene Kaur Daliwal, the youngster back into the side, Lemon Chung, Mahekdeep Kaur, Mariko Hill, Venkatesh Rajita, and Chanzin Shazad, and Yaz, who should be joining us on the podcast very shortly as a guest host, Yasmin Dazwani. Now, quickly, Tammy, somebody is missing from that team list. There's 14 players, but there's one massive omission in the former captain, Kerry Chan.
Yes.
Do we know why she's not touring?
As far as I understand, she is injured.
Okay, so unable to travel. So it's not like she's got other commitments. She's just injured and getting better. And well, we wish her all the best getting better. I saw on Instagram that was sending a little
carry train to South Korea.
To South Korea. So the schedule coming up. By the time this goes out, the first 3 games will be done. So when you're listening, the next game will be October 12 on Saturday at 2 p.m. South Korea versus Hong Kong, China. And then the finals will be on this Sunday, October 13. And good luck to all the ladies. Tammy Chu, thanks for joining us in Sky Plaza Road.
Thank you.
Right, there's so much cricket going on, Tom. I can't keep up. There's tours going absolutely everywhere on Sky Plaza Road.
Tours, cricket sixes, a very busy weekend of cricket.
People coming in, people coming out. Oh, it's just outrageous. Well, that's the end for Sky Plaza Road this week.
Gentlemen and players play Sunday afternoon.
30 teams, 3 leagues, Hong Kong's finest. It's Challenge League time.
Oh, did you notice that there, Natesh? You've got yourself a little sting for the Challenge League.
Beautiful. Well done.
Welcome to the podcast, as always, for our Challenge League update. Natesh Hamlani, let's look at last week's games, the ones we tipped, and we also had the guest podcast co-host Jay Davidson tipping as well. 6th of October, USRC Marcors versus the India Club Panthers at Cam 10. You and I picked the USRC. Jay went for India Club. How did it go?
Yeah, Jay's got that right. I think I have to give an apology first because I said Marcors beat Panthers last season. That's not correct. Panthers were Div 3, Marcors Div 2, but they did have success at Compton last season is what I meant, and they could not replicate it. Mohammad Ahmed only got 12, Sohail Anwar 60, Syed Abdul 31, but 141 for 9 is a below par score. Tanay taking 3 wickets in his 3 overs and 2 wickets apiece for Ashish and Ozair.
They didn't have much trouble chasing that one down.
Cruised at 13.1 overs. It's a small ground, and once you get on a roll that comes in, it's hard to
but they only
stop
lost
them.
1 wicket as well. 142 for 1 in the victory.
Atharv Bish retired hurt. I think that's actually retired due to crossing 50 as one of the rules of Challenge League. You must retire on 50. So easy win there for the home team.
Next one, the Yaltsamong Cricket District team versus the Serendip Titans at GDB on the 6th. You and I went with Yaltsamong and Jay went with Serendip, and that was a terrible decision.
Yaltsamong delivering very one-sided game there. There was a couple of good batting performances, nothing too outstanding. Highest of 36 from the Tritons. But yeah, 90 all out. Yaltsamong, bit of trouble chasing it.
Yeah, they lost a few.
Yep, but in the end got there quite comfortably. Askar Syed, a student at PolyU, actually came into cricket through our university cricket programs, if I remember correctly. Took 4 wickets in his 2 overs, so just 8 runs. There's also 3 for 8 from Wasim in the second innings, so some good bowling efforts there, GDB. But in the end, the well-drilled, well-oiled machine of Yaltsamong carries forward.
We got a tip at least. 6th of October, Div 3, Lama Vikings versus the HKCC Xuanwu at Cam 10. You went with HKCC, Jay and I went with Lama, and I think the Vikings had a win.
Well, Yanmo, as I've been told, Yanmo, started really well. They had them 89 for 6 inside 12 overs. Simon Fong and Andy Tse, 3 wickets apiece. Hat-trick hero Tammy Chu only bowling the 1 over as the lower order for the Vikings rallied, taking them to a fairly competitive 165 for 7. I'm just trying to be Laddu Singh. Vadu got 42 and Kalpa 22, one of the new signings. Also took wickets with the ball, and Kalpa coming in, taking 4 for 9 in his 3 overs. And yeah, Yanho's batting never really got going. Chi Lee, the skipper, 26 of 9, got them off the flyer, but there's not much else. Andy Tse, the skipper, Chi Lee, the vice captain, I believe. Yeah, Andy Tse, 30 carrying his bat, but in the end, too much for Yanho. Another big win at Compton.
Okay, well, that was last week's games. Let's go on and have a look at this weekend's games on October 13th. Div 1 out at GDB. It will be the CSRHK Frontiers versus Asians United. Before we put our tips in, can you please tell me what CSRHK stands for?
So the full name is the Ceylon Sports and Recreation Club of Hong Kong. There's an extra set of initials before that are not there on the Cricket Heroes app. They are playing under the banner of the Sri Lankan Buddhist Cultural Center Club. So the full name, if you were to get into it, will be the SLBCC CSRHK Frontiers.
Okay. Well, that's a big name. I've called a game of the Asians United in Morning League out of PKVR. So because I've heard of them, I'm going to go with Asians United.
So if I've done my homework correctly, Asians United and Frontiers are both looking for their first Challenge League win this season. The Frontiers promoting up have not played a game yet. Their opening match was washed out. Asians United have a loss on the record. Asians United, very transitional team. Players come in and out a lot. The Frontiers have a very united bunch. They've just promoted. I think they'll be hungry. I'm going to back the Frontiers for this one.
So you're going to back the Frontiers. We're already going different. Not like I know anything about Challenge League. Let's see, another Div 1 game on the 13th, also at GDB. This one at 2:20. The other one was at 11:10. Pack Golden Stars versus the IRC Charlie Bears. I'm assuming that says Challengers.
Challenge League.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a very interesting team name.
It is. I'm not sure. Well, I don't know who I'm going to go with. You know who I'm going to go with, but
Aren't they both never-evers in your Saturday picks?
that's the Rising Stars. I don't know about the Golden Stars. I'll give the Golden Stars a little bit of time before they go in the never-ever bin, but the Charlie Bears, of course.
Yeah, the Golden Stars have already got a win under the belt this season, so I'm going to back them. Charlie Bears also, I think, had their first match washed out, but they too are a team where players need to drift in and out quite a bit. Golden Stars have a pretty settled lineup for what I've seen in the opening match, so I think it all depends on which players show up on the day, but I think Golden Stars are the favourites here.
Okie dokie. Out of GDB in Div 2, a big weekend on the 13th of GDB. This is 8 a.m, so the Div 2 starts and then the two Div 1 games. It's the Serendip Tritons versus the India's United CC.
Indians United, if I've again done my homework correctly, already have a win underneath their belt. The Tritons, pretty bad loss last week. I'm going to go
That's
with
being
Indians.
polite.
Yeah, Indians United, I think this should be a Division 3 game if I'm... it's Division 2 game, so Tritons have been on the edge of relegating for a while, so I'm thinking Indians United should take this.
I'm with the Indians as well after that big loss to the Tritons last week. Just typing our tips in as we go. So you can read through the next game and tell me who's playing.
So the next game is at the Kowloon Cricket Club on the Friday.
Oh, yes, there is a game on the public holiday.
The public holiday.
It's going to be broadcast.
Brilliant.
Definitely the first Challenge League game broadcast live this season.
With commentary?
No,
Okay.
I'm going on a day off. It will be broadcast, so live on KCC YouTube, whatever time it starts. What time does it start?
It starts at 1 p.m. The KCC Pioneers versus the HKU Students in Division 3.
Well, Division 3 at KCC. What do you think?
So the HK Students have started the season well. My concern with them has always been what 11 are they getting on the park, but they've got a few of their...
Seems to be the Challenge League theme.
This is the Challenge League theme. It's very much the Challenge League theme. So HK Students...
We'll call it the Ginseng rule.
Ginseng
Because you
rule,
never
there
know which Ginseng team's going to turn up. Thank you, Tom. Tom is the co-host this week, so a little dig at him because he's not joining us for the Challenge League section. Yes, so you don't know who's going to turn up for HKU. I mean, obviously, I'm going to go with the Pioneers, dear to my heart.
Well, the HK Students came out a really strong team in their opening match. They got a lot of the alumni coming back into play for the students team, so they look a good outfit. So I'm going to go with them because the Pioneers, don't forget, have lost a couple of youngsters to the Hongzhou Tour.
Yeah, they have. That's true because I assume the likes of Tung and Paco would have been in there. They're two huge losses. I watched both of them bowl last week here at to the Saturday game, and the under-19. So that is a big loss, but I'll still stick with the Pioneers for that one. So 4 huge games starting this Friday here at KCC Live on KCC YouTube. Then 3 games starting at 8 a.m. out at GDB on Sunday. If you want to watch some Challenge League action, watch it online. Come down to KCC or head out to GDB on Sunday. As always, Nitesh Hemlani, thank you for joining us on the Challenge League section.
Thank you.
And now it's time for Bushy's birthday bonanza.
Yes, Bushy's birthday bonanza time. We got 5 big birthdays this week.
Big birthdays.
Huge
birthdays.
The 5th birthday, the last birthday, very, very big. Well, close to my heart here at the podcast.
Absolutely.
But we're going to start with a youngster, a superstar youngster. I just love watching him. I watched him in the under-19s game on Saturday. Abdul Samad Khan is turning 18 on the 12th of October.
Happy birthday, Abdul. Go well.
Samad is going to be a superstar. Farms knows all about him. He's one of those top 5 with Shiv and all that as well. Another person having a birthday, turning 36 from Hong Kong Cricket Club on the 12th. Same birthday as Samad Khan, Martin Kudzil.
New baby, new birthday. Happy birthday. Go
Logan?
well.
Was the baby named Logan?
Don't do this to me.
Oh, I believe so. It's in an earlier podcast. Don't do this. I mean, I'm supposed to know. I've already said it 5 times. We've got a string of HKCC birthdays today. On the 14th, which happens to be my mother's birthday as well, turning 33, Charlie Wallace.
Who has left Hong Kong now?
Yeah, but he's still in Mullers.
Absolutely. Happy birthday, Charlie. Go well.
And on the 15th, the next day after, turning 49 from Hong Kong Cricket Club. Can you guess?
Happy 55th birthday, Jax.
Yeah, 49 on the 15th for David Takia. and also from HKCC, but also from Cricket Hong Kong, China. I'm not going to say how old she's turning. On the 16th of October, she's actually going to be on tour at the time in China. It's one Tammy Chu.
Happy birthday, Tammy. Go well.
Thanks, Tammy, and well done, everybody. Happy birthday to Summer, Martin, Charlie, David, and Tammy. That's the birthdays for this week.
Hi, I'm Chris Wilson-Pickett, analyst for Cricket Hong Kong, China. This is the 8:52 podcast with Bushy.
Yep, that brings an end to episode 6 of the 8 for 52 podcast, season 2. Guest host Tom Ingram. That was a big one, Tom.
It was a big one. There's a lot of cricket, which is great for Hong Kong. Fantastic. And it was wonderful having Mark as well, hearing his story. It was awesome. Really good podcast.
Yeah, it's so much cricket going on. Our podcasts are getting longer and longer, but that's fine. That's what the punters want. Challenge leagues in there. Apparently that's getting quite popular, according to Natesh at least.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm looking forward to getting involved at some point.
Oh, you're going to play some morning league as well, I hear.
T20 cricket is what I'm interested in.
Yeah, well, we heard about that with Farms. He only wants to, but you have to get up at 6 a.m. to go play morning leagues.
I'll consider it. We'll see what happens over the next few years.
It's not like a 10 a.m. down at HKCC.
Oh, that would be lovely. That would be lovely.
Yes, lots of cricket going on. And the Hong Kong Sixers, we got to announce the Hong Kong Sixers team list this week. I'm sure it'll be out on social media by the time this is released on Friday. But some big names and some different names.
Absolutely.
Sahal.
Unbelievable. As I said, now that he's bowling as well, he is the sort of Jacques Callis of Hong Kong. I think that he'll be fantastic in the Sixers.
Yeah, no pressure, Sahal. You're now the Jacques Callis of Hong Kong cricket.
It's a high bar.
And also lots of Sunday Div 1, Div 2. There's Saturday games going on. The women's are on tour. The men's are on tour. And we're, a month away? 3 weeks away from Hong Kong Sixers. So yeah, it's all starting to build and get stressful. But that's it for the podcast this week. Again, very big thanks to guest host Tom Ingram for coming on. Thank you so much. And I sincerely hope Jin Sung loses every game this year.
We'll see what happens.
Hello, good morning.
See ya.
We're tossing a coin to begin.
The 8 for 52 theme song is The Coin Toss from the band The Duckworth-Lewis Method. Find them on Apple iTunes and YouTube and download that song and all their other cricket-related music.
The 8 for 52 podcast is edited, produced and published by Matt Botfield and Aaron Bush for Trip Ahead Limited. Copyright 2024.
And that's that.